Hey, Mr. Rock, thanks for having me.
Well, and thank you to the audience for joining us for another exciting edition of the Coffee or Tea segment put on by the Young Executive Society of CIPH. So I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Chris Rock. I'm the Director of Sales for Watts Water Technologies here in Canada. And my guest today is Andrew McDonald. Andrew's part of the management trainee program at EMCO. And Andrew, you're in your second year of the program, correct?
Yes, sir. Second year.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, again, thanks for joining me. We're going to start off with some rapid fire questions. I think you're familiar about how this segment works, right?
Yes, sir.
So first question in the title of our show today, coffee or tea, what do you prefer?
I'm definitely a big coffee guy. Hot coffee in the winter, iced coffee in the summer, coffee cake, anything coffee. It's definitely got my name on it.
Are you one of those coffee snobs who really takes care of how you prepare the coffee as well?
No, not at all. I'm a plain, one milk kind of guy. Those people who go to Starbucks and spend $8 and $9 on coffee and cheap mochaccino, this, that, and the other thing, that's too fancy for me. It's plain and simple.
Real man of the people, I guess.
Yes.
So I guess that leads to the next one. Do you prefer the city or the country?
I'm a big country person. Born and raised in Northern Ontario, small town of North Bay. I did move down with EMCO to the GTA. I lived in Mississauga for about a year. It's a totally different atmosphere down there. It's a lot more buzz, and everybody's kind of in a hurry to go nowhere quickly. Really, it's a different atmosphere. It's a lot better up north in the country. I find for myself, there's nothing like driving down a country road, windows down, listening to some country music, kind of take in the solitude. It's peaceful. I like it.
Yeah, I grew up in Northern Ontario myself, and I miss it every day. But when you do have some time especially in the city, do you rather take in a sporting event or do you like to go to concerts?
Sports, definitely. Myself as well as my friend group, we're big sports people. We've been to all kinds of sporting events, just about every single one. Love going to the big cities and the arenas and stadiums and seeing big name athletes compete on the highest level. It's really exciting.
Well, at the time of this interview, things are still pretty locked down, but hopefully that stuff will come out just around the corner.
I'm definitely open, so that's for sure.
And being up in North Bay, do you prefer camping or cottaging?
So that's kind of a tough one. I don't know if I can say both for the rapid fire questions. Growing up, we have a family cottage, so we'd spend a lot of summers there, a lot of winters just maintenance, that sort of thing. A lot of good memories with the family out on the lake and in the woods and things like that. But I'm definitely don't shy away from traditional camping. Canoes, portages, tents, campfires, the whole nine with friends. So I'd have to say both. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that or not.
Well, you can. Well, again, especially where you're located, do you get a chance to get to the north end of Algonquin Park too often, or?
I have, yes. One time, a couple summers ago, two of my friends and myself, we embarked on a 7-day portage through Algonquin Park, and I think we canoed almost 38 kilometers, and we were way back in the middle of the bush. It was really, really fun.
Yeah, that's seriously out there, yeah, for sure. It makes my next question funny about a phone call or text, because I don't think you're doing either one of them out in the bush for 7 days.
Out in the bush when you have no service, definitely not. Any other day, I'm kind of old school. I'm a phone call type of guy. I know a lot of people, you send them a text and you don't hear back from them for hours. So I think phone calls are they're more efficient, quicker ways to get information. Nothing can really be misconstrued. It's just plain having a conversation.
Certainly. Well, when you are in technology, do you prefer video games or board games?
Definitely a video game person, kind of my guilty pleasure. I like to work hard. I also like to play hard. And part of that is just taking time to kind of relax and melt your brain a little bit in front of the TV. So friends and I, yeah, we definitely get into some competitive video game playing for sure.
That's, during the pandemic, I think we've all had time to do that. What game are you crushing these days?
Lots of sporting games, MLB The Show, NHL 21, Madden, obviously a little bit of Call of Duty here and there, just the classic kind of young male sort of video games.
I think that plays in well with the sporting event from our earlier question.
Yeah, exactly.
This is almost a silly question because we're in lockdown, but do you prefer to dine in or take out food?
I'd have to say dine in. I feel like it's just a different energy level when you're, whether it be you're out with friends having a couple beers, or take a girl on a nice candlelit dinner or a patio somewhere. Obviously, the food is good when you take it out, but there's nothing like dining in and kind of getting that experience.
Well, I think we're all dreaming of dining in. Again, hopefully it's just around the corner, and those are all good things to celebrate. And on the personal side, I'm curious though, why or how did you join the industry?
No, that's a great question. Growing up, I never really knew what I wanted to do. I couldn't really decide if it was going to be work with my hands or work with my mind or a combination of both. So when I came across MCO, I thought it was the perfect fit for me. It's a perfect mix between sort of blue collar and white collar, and you get a little bit of the desk job, but you're also on your feet in the warehouse and on job sites handling material and that sort of thing. So it's a good mix between using your brain for the business entrepreneurial side, as well as your brain and your hands, if you will, for the skilled trade sort of thing. So that's what really made it a perfect fit for me, and just sort of getting to know generally how things work, how houses and commercial buildings and water supply and HVAC, how to keep people warm in the winter and cool in the summer. It's really neat to understand kind of how things work. I feel like a lot of people who don't know how things work tend to take it for granted. It's definitely a luxury that we have here where we live in Canada. So it's interesting to know kind of the back end of things and what goes on to make that happen for people in their households.
Excellent. And, I really liked how you articulated that about not only how things work, but that fit in the mix and how everything in the industry sort of connects in. And that's just that's what attracts me to the industry too. Every day is something different. But in your role in particular, can you describe a little bit for our audience what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm involved in the management development program at MCO Corporation. So we're a wholesale supplier of plumbing, HVAC, hydronic, industrial supplies for contractors and tradesmen. So the management development program in particular, it's a 3.5-year roughly program, and it's basically a fast track to become a branch manager within MCO. So they get you starting right from the bottom. First year you're working in the warehouse, shipping, receiving, handling material, kind of getting to know the goods. Second year you transition to inside sales, counter, and that sort of thing. And then third year you're learning all about outside sales, customer relationships, that sort of thing, as well as back office systems, all to sort of breed you into a branch manager for MCO, in which case they'll kind of pluck you out of the program and give you your own profit center, that they call them here. And you kind of get to take it by the reins and go with it. And yeah, it's a great business opportunity.
That's right. What a cool opportunity to be able to, move around your business to get to know each facet, especially with our industry being as connected as we just talked about.
Oh, absolutely. It's cool.
I'm curious, is that what you like most about your role, or is there something else?
I think what I like most about my role is learning business, but not having to, be glued to a desk and staring at 2 or 3 computer screens all day long for 8 hours. It's a lot of face-to-face with the customers, which I love. Blue collar guys, they're pretty funny people. They like to joke around and have a good time, but they also like to work hard and get the job done. So that's right up my alley. So I like spending time with those kind of people. As I mentioned previously, obviously you're in the warehouse handling material, getting to know, different vendors, different products, how things are kind of put together to make everything work in a household, commercial buildings, schools, and that sort of thing. What I like most about my role would probably be, like I say, the mix between the business side of things as well as the hands-on side of things. One of the opportunities I was granted when I was working down in Toronto with MCO was I was actually sort of an unofficial apprentice for a plumbing company down there called AP Plumbing and Mechanical. So I would work my day at MCO selling them product, and then afterwards I would go and change T-shirts and keep the steel toes on and hop in the van, and we'd go do jobs downtown Toronto, Burlington, Oakville, in the area. And so it's cool because I learned the theoretical side through MCO, but I also learned the application side through the apprenticeship. So it was cool to see it come together holistically like that.
And you learn so much more by doing, and that sounds like just such a great opportunity to learn, right? I'm kind of amazed because our roles are so different, but it sounds like there's so much similarity. I'm inspired every day by the contractor. These people are very hardworking people, and they own their own business, and a lot of them are incredibly humble about it. They really drive. They're the lifeblood of our industry. So, and this, you've talked about your current experiences, but prior to joining the industry, what experiences have really helped you out in your current role?
Experience that helped me out in my current role. I would say from a very young age, just being active. I'm kind of a guy that can't sit still, and working hard. I know when I was younger, my dad and I would grow up building cottages, sheds, decks, garages, that sort of thing. So that kind of bestowed in me the love for the trades and working with your hands. As I went through school and realized that kind of business is the way to go, the best way to make money. Obviously, getting a business degree from Nipissing University. I worked as a manager at McDonald's for 8 years to put me through school. So I got to learn people. I got to learn how to be a leader from a very young age through volunteering, several different employment roles, working, with youth through Hockey Canada, volunteering, helping others, working with the Ontario Provincial Police as an auxiliary constable, learning how to help people kind of in their, when they're, not having the best days. Worked on the Marine unit with them as well, just learning about safety, learning about being a leader in the public. So a lot of different experiences really tied into make me who I am today, I guess you could say. And it's definitely put the love for the trades as well as business and first and foremost people to put me in the path that I'm on. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, I've known you for a little bit of time, Andrew, but half the stuff you just talked about, I had no idea. I'm so glad we're having this chat today. But maybe it's not a surprise that such diverse experience has helped you in such a diverse industry with diverse challenges. Speaking of which, what was one of your favorite moments or big wins that you've had in your first year with MCO?
So I think one of my biggest wins is kind of a humble brag, if you will. Being an apprentice with AP Plumbing and Mechanical. He's a one-man show. His name's Andrew as well. Working out in Mississauga. He's got a stellar van and incredible work ethic. And I remember one day, one of the biggest wins we had. I was working in Mississauga at the time, and it was roughly 4 o'clock, so we were kind of gearing down for the day. And he calls us in a panic. He says, "Hey, look, I'm in Kitchener. I need XYZ for material, a bunch of lengths of cast iron pipe. Like I need this huge order, and I'm in a pickle here. Like I really need this." And we're like, "Okay, we're gonna come through. That's what we're all about, coming through for people." So basically, what happened was 4 o'clock. I leave Mississauga. I drive to Oakville to pick up the pickup truck from the MCO in Oakville. Load the pickup truck full of material. Drive just over an hour down to Kitchener. It's about 5:30, 6 o'clock at this point. Everything's kind of shut. All the MCOs are shut down. I get to site and I meet him and I'm like, "Hey man, I got all your materials and everything." I'm unloading it into the. He was working at a strip mall at the time in Kitchener, just off the 401. And so I'm unloading all this material onto his job site. And I'm like, "Hey, like here's your paperwork, like all good." And he's like, "Yeah, what?" He's like, "What are you doing tonight?" I'm like, "I'm just driving home and maybe get a workout in. Nothing really too crazy." And he's like, you want to work?" I'm like, "Sure, let's do it." So again, changed my t-shirt, got to work with Andrew from AP Plumbing and Mechanical. And one of our big wins was it was the middle of a thunderstorm, middle of a big downpour that we were getting there for a number of days. And this strip mall had its roof drains were all clogged. You had a couple restaurants, a tanning salon, a dentist office, that sort of thing. So the place was a fairly busy joint. With the roof drains all clogged, there was probably a good 2 feet of water sitting on top of the roof. And we had to get it down. We had to plumb in, a system that would allow this building to drain properly before either the roof caved in or, started leaking or what have you. So the biggest win was not only bringing the material down to him after hours, kind of do whatever it takes mentality. But on top of that, we actually spent all night there at the strip mall. I ended up leaving Kitchener at 6 a.m, driving back to Oakville to drop off their truck, and then heading straight to MCO Mississauga. So I worked a whole day in Mississauga at MCO, drove to Kitchener, worked a whole night, overnight, working for AP Plumbing and Mechanical, helping them out, and then drove all the way back and put my uniform back on and worked the next day at MCO Mississauga. It turned out to be, I think, like a 36-hour shift. I definitely don't say that to brag, but I'm just kind of I really like to vouch for the whole, MCO does what it takes to get the job done. And sometimes that means, the 8 hours a day just isn't going to cut it. So that was probably the biggest win. And it was a lot of fun too. I like to push those limits.
Well, it's so funny that you describe that as the big win, such a grind. But I think it speaks to attitude that when you do go the extra mile, you convert a customer for life, right? But that's an attitude, that's a value set. Where did that come from? Like, have you had a mentor in your life, or where did that kind of come from?
Absolutely. I think I've had a number of mentors over the years since I can remember. I think mentorship is a really big part of growth and development as a person. Obviously, you want to hang around those like-minded people who are in those positions that you aspire to be or aspire to emulate. A number of mentors that I've had, obviously, biggest one first and foremost would be my dad. From a very young age, instilling that work ethic in me, that discipline, and obviously treating. There's the old saying, right? You treat the CEO and the janitor with the same level of respect that was bestowed on me from a very young age. So I think that leads to my interaction with the general public, with people, and how I just enjoy talking to people. It doesn't matter what you do. I'm sure we can, have a good conversation about it. So that came from my father. A common trend you might notice between all of my mentors, they are all police officers, ironically. Another one being Chris Johnson. He was a constable for the North Bay City Police here in North Bay. Great guy. I look up to him tremendously. He taught me about compassion, how to approach difficult situations, how to take care of your body, take care of your mind, and really just, how to deal with conflict. That was a big thing, learning from him, spending a number of years with him on the road. Another mentor I have would be Constable Marvin Miller, who I would spend a number of summer with on the Marine Unit with the Ontario Provincial Police. We would have some great conversations. We would talk about life, business, safety, and one thing I really admire him for is how he would never settle. It was always about, you have to go after and you have to get what you want out of this life. And for a lot of people, that's helping people. For a lot of people, that's making a name for themselves or establishing some level of public success or private success. So he was a big mentor of mine in the sense of getting really what you want out of life is up to you. So I definitely look up to him. And lastly, Sergeant Dean Ward from the Ontario Provincial Police as well. He played a big factor in me, in my growth, I should say, in terms of paying things forward. Showing empathy towards others. Sometimes people aren't having the best days of their life. That's when you're able to come in, help them out, whether that be in business, in policing, in public, or just in passing. It's about paying things forward and keeping that positive energy and doing good for others so that they can go and do good for others, and eventually will change the world.
Yeah, that's a very powerful message, Andrew. I appreciate you sharing that with me today, but also the audience, and taking the time out to talk to us. And, I think it represents really well for the industry. There's so much that we can be doing, and the sky's the limit. So again, just really want to thank you for your time today, and hope to connect with you soon, maybe even face to face.
Absolutely, Mr. Rock. Thank you so much. Thank you to the other decision makers at the CIPH. I've seen the set list of who all is going through the interviews for coffee and tea, and there's definitely some heavy hitters on there. So very humbled to be a part of this. So thank you very much.
No problem. Take care.
Thanks, Chris.